Hello, it's October 20th. Um, Not worried about if this is an overshare because comedy is my hobby. I'm here on purpose. Haven't been trafficked, don't worry. Um, so anyways, I wanted to tell this story. I've told it before, but it still gets me every time. So maybe you'll enjoy it. Basically, I went to go to town for a drug test and I was pulled over after slowing down when someone sped up coming towards me when I was crossing traffic because I got kind of startled by the aggression. So the cop pulled me over, obviously, because I'm the one crossing lanes. So I get out of the car and it's a truck, but I get out and I'm like, the officer is behind me. I'm pulled behind a little fast food place. And I'm like, okay, so I'm glad you're here. Like, that was a little bit crazy. I'm like, I wasn't cursing or anything like that. I just was like, I'm doing the best I can, you know. And he's just kind of like you can't really read him. He's my height approximately, and he's not acting like a normal human being, which there's other cops that are like that. I don't know what kind of training that is. Um, but anyways, so he starts being like, "Are you on anything?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not on anything." And he's like, "Okay, well, you don't seem right," and all this stuff like that. And I'm like, "Well, I'm not on anything." So more and more cop cars are showing up, and I get the full DUI stop. Basically, this is a few months ago. I'm 39 now, so I was 38. I'd never had a DUI stop in my life, so I wasn't, you know, like too concerned or anything because I knew I could pass a drug test, I could pass a breathalyzer, right? And so he's like, "Can we search your vehicle?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm not the only one who drives my vehicle, but sure. So they search my whole vehicle. He gives me the full DUI stop, which I didn't really mind. Like, it was kind of like playing hopscotch or something like that. I did realize that it's difficult to do even sober. So I get done and I'm sitting there looking at him and he's like, "Okay, well, you didn't really do great." And I'm like thinking, how is that possible? And and he's like, "You sure you're not on anything?" All this stuff like that. And I look at him, we're literally like right there by each other, this far apart. And I'm like, "What's the deal? Like, are most people on something? Like, do you just assume?" And he's like, 98% of the time, yeah, they are. So I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not." I was like, I'm always like this. I'm pumped and I'm jacked, like I'm jacked and I'm pumped, whatever, right? I start taking off my sweater. I'm like, "Yeah, go team mom," right? Like I'm just amped all the time. Like this is how I am. And so I was on my way to a drug test and for a job. Not because I'm on anything like that, any probation or something, but never say never. But anyways, it's for a job. So I finally get let go. And but first he's like, "Are you on anything? Are you on anything?" And I'm like, "No. I drink coffee, that's it." And he's like, "Okay, well, you could go to jail for caffeine. Like you can get a DUI for caffeine." He's like, "You know that?" And I'm like, "No, I did not know that." I don't think anyone knows that, but so anyways, I was like, "Well, I slept last night, like, um, and I have half a cup of coffee in my car. So like, how could I have too much caffeine in my system, even if I had drank lots of caffeine the day before I slept last night?" So like what um so what had happened was he he basically said, "You're not right." And I looked at him like, "Well, then what am I supposed to do? Because I can't go home and quit drugs and alcohol or anything like that. So like, what are you saying?" He's like, "Are you like Asperger's or something?" So I'm like kind of starting to cry. Like I'm like, that's a little personal. And like I'm talking to this like cop, like you don't want to start talking about, you know, if you're neurodivergent or awkward or, you know, quitting cigarettes and drank 15 cups of coffee the day before, hypothetically. But anyways, so I had FBI paperwork in my purse because my job, the FBI had been there recently, and I had gotten a few of the papers off the table, and I'd spoke to one of the guys from the FBI about, you know, learning about getting training or something like that. I'm nowhere advanced in that field at all. Don't work for them, nothing. That was in my purse, in my wallet, folded up, or in my purse. But anyways, I know that they saw it because they went through everything in my car and everything in my purse. Because one of the ladies came up to me and told me she'd found my son's tooth, which was folded in something in my wallet. So I know they looked at everything, unfolded everything and stuff. So of course they're not going to come back and be like, "Why do you have FBI papers?" or anything like that, right? But anyways, long story short, I'm getting let go. Um, he was gonna write me one ticket, but I kind of start crying. Like everybody left. He's like, "You're okay, put your sweater on." I'm sitting there kind of like like why did all this have to happen? Like almost like you guys stuck up for a bully. Like the person was aggressive and I didn't even curse at them. Like why did I just get like kind of harassed for an hour or two? And so I was like crying a little bit. I was like cold and emotional and like and so he was starting to write a one warning of the two things I could have got a ticket for, and then he was like, "I'm not even like, he's like, you're fine, like you're doing good, like, you know, we're proud of you." Like, it turned into something pretty positive, and it was like, this is my point. You can drive around in a 2010 Silverado with about a dozen bullet holes in it, and you cannot think about those bullet holes. But you're still, I didn't even put that together of why I had been pulled over until like maybe a few days later. I was driving around and I saw a few different men looking at the truck, and I was like, what are they looking at? And then I was like, oh, the bullet holes. Like I was like thinking, oh, that's why the cops stopped me, like, or called for backup at least. And so I let them down that day. They thought they found, some big boss. But